Having trouble getting your Sacramento house ready to sell? I've got some easy backyard updates that you can do to get your home ready to sell in no time. So stay tuned. I'm Susan Knows Sacramento, and I make sold happen for homeowners in Sacramento, California. Before I share my tips on updating your backyard, be sure to grab a copy of my Sacramento Home Seller's Guide. You'll find lots of helpful information about selling your home. What are the goals for these updates? We want your backyard to feel as inviting and attractive as the inside of your home. We also want to give buyers ideas about how they can use the space in your backyard. And these updates are going to help you sell your home faster and hopefully for more money. How much did you spend on backyard updates? You really don't need to spend a lot to make a difference. Most of the ideas I'm going to give you today are low cost and some don't cost anything at all. The goal is to add value and make your backyard feel like it's part of the home instead of an afterthought. Backyard update tip number 1, clean up. I know I keep saying it over and over again, but if you only do one tip, do this one. It's going to make a huge difference and help you sell your home. Junk accumulates, so make a dump run and get rid of all that stuff that you've been throwing in the backyard because you don't know what to do with it. You also want to power wash the patio and any of the walkways. And if you have a storage shed, make sure you tidy that up too. Tip number 2, let's talk about your fence. The first thing you want to do is walk around and check all the posts and make sure they're solid. Posts that are rotting are going to make the fence wiggle when you push on it. The other thing you want to make sure of is that all the fence boards are nailed down and that you don't have any holes or open spots. You might also want to consider staining your fence. There are some great products that are made just for old wood and they provide much more coverage. So they're going to make your fence look a lot better, even if it's been around for a while. Tip number 3, you want to address your landscaping. You want to make sure that your grass is green. Make sure you've trimmed the bushes, trimmed the trees. If you have any dead plants, you also want to make sure you get those removed and replaced. If you have bare dirt in some areas, you don't necessarily need to plant things there, but get some bark and cover that dirt up because that's going to make a big difference. It's going to make it look finished. If you have plants that only bloom occasionally, try and snap a picture when they're in bloom and looking their best. These photos are going to be really helpful to include in your listing because they'll show how beautiful your yard looks at different times of the year. Tip number 4, sprinklers. If you have landscaping and grass in the backyard, then you might have sprinklers installed. You want to make sure that those are in good condition. It always looks bad if buyers come in the backyard and you've got leaky sprinklers that are causing puddles around the yard, or if you have sprinklers that aren't working well, so they're causing dry spots. So have somebody come out and get those sprinklers in good working order. Tip number 5, create a relaxation zone. In Sacramento, where it's so hot, this is probably going to include some shade. So what you want to do is get a few comfy chairs and put them in a shady spot, either under your patio or under a tree. Or if you don't have shade in your backyard, you may want to consider adding a large umbrella and putting the chairs under that. Just make sure that whatever you add to the yard matches. It looks a lot better to have 2 chairs that look great instead of having 10 chairs in the backyard that are all different and don't offer a cohesive look. A fire pit is another nice thing that you could consider adding to the backyard. If you already have one, just make sure it's nice and clean. Tip number 5, whether you have a yard the size of a postage stamp or something more palatial, you might want to consider adding a dining space. If you have a really small yard, 2 chairs and a little cafe table would be perfect. If you have a larger space, then you might want to do a larger table with more chairs. Whatever you choose, keep it simple. You don't need to have a lot. You just want to suggest to buyers that, hey, you can eat out here, and this is a comfortable spot. The sixth item that you'll need to address in the backyard is pets and their stuff. Not everybody loves pets. I love my dogs, but some buyers don't like pets, and they don't want to see your pet stuff lying around the backyard. If you have a dog house, you don't need to remove it, but just make the area clean and neat and realize that you want to appeal to as many buyers as possible. The last tip I have is about pools. If you don't have a pool, you don't need to put one in. Not everybody likes a pool, and pools don't always add a lot of value. But if you already have a pool in your yard, you want to make sure that the pool equipment is in good working order. There's not really a need to replaster a pool. That's an expensive fix that you might not want to take on before you sell your house. And that's going to depend on the condition of the pool. But what you want to do is make sure the pool is sparkling clean, because that's really going to be an asset when you go to take those listing photos. If you have a baby fence around the pool, you want to take that out and put it in the garage. That's a great thing to have, and it's something that some buyers are really going to appreciate, but it really doesn't look that great in photos. It interferes with the view of the pool. So just take that out and store it away. You also want to think about creating what I like to call moments in a backyard. If you have a really beautiful tree in your backyard, or a pretty bush that flowers, one way to highlight that is to put a chair and a throw in front of it, and that way in the pictures it'll be a focal point. And that's something that helps buyers remember your home. They're like, hey, I remember that chair under that beautiful tree. I love to sit there. I can imagine myself being in that backyard. And then when they come to visit your home, they're going to stop and they're going to notice that space. And it's those little things that really help buyers fall in love with your home. These backyard updates are all designed to help buyers envision what it would be like to live in your home. The goal is we want to make them fall in love with your home so they'll want to make an offer. Make sure you check out my next video where I'll be giving you tips on how you can sell your home and buy another one at the same time. That can be a little tricky, so I'm going to explain that to you next time. So long for now from Susan Knows Sacramento.